This is Mole Mama. Take a journey with me to my kitchen where I recreate some of my sweet Mama Rosa's best Mexican family recipes. I'll share the stories behind my grandma's magical molcajete, guacamole, crunchy tacos, mole, papas and chorizo chimichangas, Kahlua cake, crack cake, and oh, so much more. You'll also get to meet guest chefs as they share the stories behind their yummy recipes. I believe that food is the sixth language of love. And if you're like me, it's your love that makes your food magical. Tune into Mole Mama on Thursdays at 6 p.m. for all the fun and love. You might want to eat first, because this show is going to make you oh so hungry. Que Dios te bendiga, as my mom would say. May God bless you. Hola y buen todos. Welcome to Mole Mama Cooking with Love. We drive connection, unity, acceptance, and love across all cultures and generations. I just want to be very clear that all are welcome here, and we are delighted and grateful to have you listening. You're about to join us for our weekly adventure, where we chat with entrepreneurs, chefs, foodies, and artists and nutritionists who are helping us to connect and learn. We love for you to visit our YouTube channel where you can learn to make delicioso guacamole, chimichangas, molcajetes de queso y chorizo fundido, crunchy tacos, enchiladas, flour tortillas, and so much more. Private message us if you need any help. We'd love to help you make these recipes successful. And please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. And for Mother Teresa, spread love everywhere you go and let no one ever come to you without leaving happier. So tonight's guest, I'm so delighted to have her with us. I'm going to go over her formal bio, but before I do that, she is a dear friend. Dr. Jeanne Rosner is here, and she is just a kind person. If you follow her on Instagram, not only is she telling us about healthy ways that we can eat and enjoy great food, she's also always reminding us to be kind. So that is something that just really resonates with me, and I'm just so delighted and joyful to have her here. She is a board-certified, you're welcome. She is a board-certified anesthesiologist who practiced at Stanford Medical Center for nearly 20 years. In 2011, she began teaching nutrition classes in her son's 5th grade science class, which was an aha moment for her. She realized that learning and teaching about nutrition, health, and wellness to her community was her destiny. Since retiring from anesthesia, she has been a nutrition educator at local middle schools and high schools throughout the Bay Area in California, Woodside Elementary School, Menlo School, Eastside Prep, the Boys and Girls Club of Peninsula, Sacred Heart Prep, the Peninsula Bridge School. She teaches middle school and high school children the importance of eating food closest to the source, making good food choices, and eating in a balanced and moderate way. In addition, Dr. Rosner started a venture called Soul, Seasonal, Organic, Unprocessed Local Food Salon in 2014. She holds small gathering salons with the mission of educating and empowering people to lead a healthier life. The salons feature an expert in the health and wellness community who speaks about an interesting health topic. There are also salons with a chef position doing cooking demonstrations while using local and seasonal ingredients. And with that, formally, Dr. Jeanne, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Well, it's delightful to chat with you. You were on actually, I think about 18 months ago, but so much has happened since then for you. And so for our listeners who haven't heard from you before, can you tell us a little bit more about Soul Food Salon?
Sure. So as you mentioned kind of in my bio, I started teaching health and wellness with a focus on nutrition when my son was in 5th grade. He's now in 12th grade. So that was about 8 years ago. And I had to learn a lot to teach. And it was just, like you said, my aha moment, like that's what I really wanted to spend my time doing. So shortly after I taught for the first year, I left anesthesia and I started teaching kind of full-time, learning and teaching essentially. And then about 5.5 years ago, I started Soul Food Salon. And the Soul, as you said, stands for Seasonal, Organic, Unprocessed, Local. And the salons are small gatherings. And essentially I hold monthly events, and I try to alternate between kind of talks, more of like a real presentation. And, it's informal, however, so the audience kind of participates, asks questions. It's a very safe environment as well. And we alternate between kind of talks and cooking events. And my mission is to educate and empower us all to be healthier. And I am on this journey to learn all about better health and better wellness, and I'm taking whoever wants to come with me on the journey with me. And that's essentially kind of the mission of Soul Food Salon. Do you want me to go into some of the nonprofit stuff?
Yes, absolutely, because it's so wonderful what you're doing. And I, if I can just share really quickly, when I was still living in the Bay Area, I was fortunate enough to go to several of them, and I learned so much. Like specifically, I no longer boil any vegetables at all. They don't go near water if I'm going to cook them, and that was because of you. So anyway, please continue.
So, so there is no money transacted. People don't pay to come to these events. However, I am affiliated with a different entity each year, and so, like for example, this year we are affiliated with Food Corps, and essentially what Food Corps is, I think they may have started 7 or 8 years ago. They put AmeriCorps service members in at-need schools, I believe K through 5 or K through 8 schools even, in at-need situations. So they're present in, I believe, 17 states and like 365 schools. And these AmeriCorps members spend about a year in the classroom, and they go and teach the students all about different fruits and vegetables and, expose them to different food items that they've never eaten perhaps before, or teach them a different way of eating it. And they get in the school garden if there is a garden. They get into the lunchrooms and help the lunch ladies and bring in different recipes. Essentially, their hope is to inspire healthy eating and hopefully healthy living as well. And so this year we are affiliated with them, with Food Corps. In the past, when we first started, I was affiliated with the Edible Schoolyard Project, which was started, I'd say about 28 years ago or so at this point by Alice Waters, who is a famous foodie woman. She famous chef. She has the restaurant Chez Panisse. She's like kind of the quintessential farm-to-table kind of philosophy of eating really fresh fruits and vegetables and herbs. And so she has this restaurant in California, in Oakland, and every day she would walk to her restaurant. And as she was walking to her restaurant, she passed this middle school called Martin Luther King Middle School. And again, this is like probably now 30-something years ago. And every time she passed by, she noticed like half the school was condemned at the time, or wasn't being used. It was condemned, and there was a huge asphalt parking area and she had this vision that big area of asphalt should be a school garden, and that's what she created. So she created the biggest like edible schoolyard project, schoolyard garden, and there are some structures right next to the garden where the students take whatever they've grown and harvested, and they go into like a classroom, like like a little makeshift classroom, and they make food from whatever they've harvested. And so that's who we were affiliated with the first year or so, year and a half that we had started. And then in the middle, we affiliated with Stanford Medical Center. And for those in the audience, you might not know, but in medical school, there's not a lot of emphasis on nutrition education, and especially cooking, actually, and, kind of applying. So this elective class was started at Stanford by 2 MD chefs, and they had the class for 3 sessions or 3 quarters, and we from Soul Food Salon helped fund the 2nd and 3rd quarter because it's not mandatory part of the curriculum in the medical center, so it's an elective. So we helped fund it, and essentially what the class is, it was about 8 weeks long, and it was predominantly for second-year medical students, and they would come to the class on Wednesday nights for a few hours, and they would learn all different subject matter. So it was like one lesson was all about whole grains or cooking with whole grains, and it was exposing these students, future doctors, on what is healthy eating and what is actually healthy cooking. And then the hope is that they then translate that to their own life and then also to future patients and their families. So that's kind of like the skeleton of what we've done. Each year we've affiliated with a different entity. And like I said, this year we're affiliated with Food Corps.
That's just outstanding that you're helping children learn about nutrition and healthy eating and our doctors. So, it's just, I'm so excited about what you're doing. And I know that you're in the Bay Area, but you also have a YouTube channel, which is fantastic for those of us who can't go in person. So do you want to share with our listeners a little bit more about that and how they can follow you on YouTube?
Of course. So we have a YouTube channel, and pretty much all of my social media, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, everything is Soul Food Salon, SOUL, Food Salon. So you could subscribe, and we have videotaped many of the lecture formatted salons. Not many of the cooking salons have been videotaped. Actually, only one has been videotaped partially, and that was from you, Diana, when you came to the salon for Rebecca Katz, if I remember correctly. So we have a little smattering of like a 10-minute video on YouTube with that salon. But generally, it's really the main talks, and often there's a presentation with each talk, and there's usually a PowerPoint that goes with it. So that's all up on my website, which is, again, everything is Soul Food Salon. So my website, soulfoodsalon.com, and you can access everything. You can actually go through my website to get to the YouTube channel, to get to Instagram, to get to Facebook. All the links are there. And, so that's that.
But it's so much more than nutrition, because you've had guest speakers talking about Alzheimer's. You've had them talking about inflammation, about the good gut. So it's more than just the food. And so I would highly recommend anybody that's listening to please check it out. It's well worth your investment in time. And I think what's so amazing about what you're doing, Dr. Jeanne, is because you're not associated with anybody, but it's yours. I think what you're sharing is really straight, good information. There's nobody sponsoring you. So, I love learning more from you because of that. Because I know that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's not noise. It's not noise, and you're not being sponsored.
Right. I mean, I really, what I put out there, I really vet pretty strongly. And granted, nothing is really black and white. Nothing in this world is black and white. But I try to put out either in my salons or whatever information I'm putting out by emails and by Instagram, et cetera. I want it to have as much science rigor to it as it can have. So hopefully it's got evidence behind it, evidence-based information. So, yeah. So on my site as well, like on my website, I have a link. One of the headers is called Health Links, and it will take you to other websites that I think are very reputable. One of them is the Harvard School of Public Health, and one of them is, that's kind of what's coming to my mind right now, Harvard School of Public Health, which is great. They are the nutrition gurus in the world. Many of the nutrition guidelines that we adhere to, or that we should be adhering to, have all originated mainly from a lot of studies that have been done at Harvard. So you can go on my website under the health links and see. You can just click on the different links and learn a lot that way.
Well, I also think that the way that the content that you're sharing, the way you're writing it, is for those of us without medical degrees to understand, which is super helpful. So thank you.
Sure. So I think one of the things that you're referring to. So I have a few different things that I put out by email, and anyone can subscribe to these. I have a health and wellness newsletter that I put out a couple times a month, 2 to 3 times a month, and I call that Soulful Insights, again, keeping the soul with that. And so those are kind of like my salons, just like a variety of topics, a variety of presenters are writing, a variety of people from the health and wellness community. I do some of the writing. Other people have done some writing. Diana has done a post for me. And and I really synthesize what is being presented in a way that a layperson can understand. So we will explain certain words, and I really kind of keep it scientific based. However, I keep it to the degree that a layperson that might not be savvy in what homeostasis means, I describe what homeostasis would mean, etc. And so if anybody's interested in receiving these different newsletters, the Soulful Insights, you can go on my website and a pop-up will come up and you can subscribe to that.
Well, I read them every week, so I love getting them. And
yeah, actually, one went out today. One went out today, and it was written by Julia Nordgren, who is an MD. She's a pediatrician who helps kids that have lipid or cholesterol issues. And her post is called Cholesterol 101, and it's basic, but it's very informative, and it goes through cholesterol, it goes through the different types of cholesterol, it goes through triglycerides. And I think the one thing that I try to do with either my events at my salons or these Soulful Insights, I like for my presenter to present the topic, such as Julia's presentation today, all about cholesterol, but then also to give tangible ways to combat high cholesterol. For example, she gives different ways to raise your HDL cholesterol, and different ways to lower your LDL cholesterol, and different ways to lower your triglyceride level, all through like food, different food components to incorporate more in your diet, exercise. So I'd like people to leave my events or leave the posts that I'm putting out with not only the knowledge of the topic, but also information on, okay, so now, like I am this person that has high LDL cholesterol. Now I have like 5 tangible things that I can go home and change in my refrigerator and my eating habits that perhaps will help me. So that's kind of my goal with everything that I'm putting out.
Well, I think it was maybe a year and a half ago that you did that piece on inflammation as a 3-part series, and I still have gone back and referenced that and sent it on to friends, and it was so, as you mentioned, so incredibly informative about the causes of inflammation, which I had no idea there were so many. There were so many beyond food. So just what you're sharing with your readers and the people who sign up, it's really helpful information. So thank you for that. I did want to talk to you. I did also want to talk to you tonight because in January you started this food challenge 2019, and I thought, oh, that's really great. She's going to do that for the month of January. But here we are in March, and it's still going, and it's fantastic. So can you share more about that with our listeners?
Of course. So we are doing what we call Food Challenge 2019. And so for the whole year of 2019, we will be doing a weekly challenge. Essentially, I send out an email to those that have subscribed to the Food Challenge. So again, you can go on my website and just enter your information, your first and last name and your email address, and you will also then receive these emails that I put out. I put them out on Friday mornings in case people want to maybe go to a farmer's market for the weekend, essentially. So, so for example, this past week, we've been doing Swiss chard. So we are week 10 with Swiss chard. And what I do in the emails that I send out on Friday mornings is I will describe a little blurb about the ingredients. So a little bit about Swiss chard, for example. And then I describe some of the nutrients that you get when you eat Swiss chard, some of the B vitamins and the fiber, et cetera. And then I go through some of the health benefits that you get from whatever this ingredient is, and then like how to select it and store it. And each week I'm also including a recipe suggestion. And my goal for this whole food challenge is to educate and inspire us all to learn about new ingredients, to try new ingredients, to try them in a new recipe, and to be exposed to new things and keep learning. And so, for example, with Swiss chard, I've not really cooked very much with it, but I found this recipe that I cooked a few times in my kitchen, and I've used it. It's basically just sauteing Swiss chard with a little bit of garlic, a little bit of shallots, and adding a little bit of balsamic vinegar and some pine nuts. It was really yummy and really tasty. And I'm home in the afternoon sometimes, and I made some eggs the other day, and I added that to my eggs, and so yummy. So I'm trying to inspire people to cook with new seasonal ingredients. So there's a seasonal component to the challenge. So we live in California, which I know we are spoiled, and we have, great produce all year round. And granted, our produce goes to other parts of the country. But so it's the seasonality of what is truly in season here in California at the time. So you will not see strawberries on the ingredient, not until the summertime. So it's what's currently in season in pretty much California is what I'm posting on a weekly basis. And then so the hope is to try the ingredients and to cook with them, take photos with them perhaps, and post them on Instagram and on Facebook with the hashtags Food Challenge 2019 and hashtag Fun with Real Food. And, I have made personally from other people's posts, from their pictures that they've put out there, different recipes that I would have never tried. So I've been inspired, and I'm hoping that I'm inspiring others as well. And so please, if you're interested in being part of this fun food adventure, everyone is welcome. Please go on my website, soulfoodsalon.com. The pop-up for the food challenge should occur. Just enter your information, and you will receive tomorrow's post. I'm not going to spoil and tell you what it is, but tomorrow it starts week 11.
That's outstanding. I've been so inspired, and you have been posting. I love beets and carrots and cauliflower. So I've been seeing a lot of my favorites and garlic, but I have to tell you, you are inside my head. Every time I'm going to run out of the house and I'm like, oh, I should take something to eat because I'm going to be hungry while I'm gone. And I hear your voice go, grab something closest to the source. Do not get crackers, Diana. You must get, so I grab a piece of fruit or some nuts. So that's because of you, or I get some carrots.
Hey, I take the fruit, but I also take the crackers. So it's all balance and moderation.
Yes.
But that is my big message. I'd say that if I had to synthesize my messages to the middle and high school students that I teach, to the adults that I teach, to all the writing that I put out there, and really I try to live this way as well as best I can, is to eat food as close to nature, as close to its natural source, and, try to limit the amount of processed food that we eat, because you're not getting really a lot of nutrients. You're really probably getting no nutrients in the processed food. So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, you've definitely made an impact on me. I still eat all the other stuff, but not all the other stuff. I would say I eat real food, but I probably eat some real food that's not so great. So cheese, cream, butter, but it's just, there's some other things.
Again, balance and moderation. Everything has a place, and, except for maybe sugar sweetened beverages, I don't really see a place for that, but that's another lecture.
Yeah, I haven't had a soda in 7 years, so that's definitely something I let go of.
Right. Well, you've inspired me as well with all everything that you're doing, your cooking and your posting and your YouTubes and all that. So, the apple's not falling far from this tree here.
That's awesome. So I want to know, because you said that you're going into week 11 of your food challenge. Do you have a favorite recipe that you've tried so far?
A favorite recipe
from your challenge?
I really liked the carrot recipe. So I think one of the things, and this is different, I think, from what gets made in my kitchen versus what gets made in your kitchen, Diana. I am a very simple cook. I have 3 kids, 2 of them that are still at home, one's in college, but I'm challenged with time and I lose interest. So minimal ingredients and minimal steps get taken in my kitchen. So the one recipe that I really enjoyed was the roasted carrots. It was like a Moroccan spiced carrots, and you roast the carrots. I can't remember all these spices, there was like, I think a little cinnamon in it, maybe cumin, and I roasted them, and then you drizzle like a little yogurt lime kind of mix over it. Oh, so yummy and so easy and unbelievably tasty, like fresh, and like my mouth was just happy and my stomach was really happy. So I would say that one was good. And, so with each of my posts, with whatever the ingredient is, I am putting a recipe suggestion, and I am trying, they're either recipe suggestions either recipes that I have made in the past or, ones that I'm learning about myself at the time. So I've generally made the recipe before I post it because I want to make sure that it's a good one. So that's been fun for me to play around with that. I say, like, for beets, for example, we did beets early on. I have a dehydrator. Someone had given it to me as a gift at one point, and I haven't used it that much. I've used it to dehydrate tomatoes, to make like sun-dried tomatoes almost, and I'd say that's probably the only reason I've ever used it. But someone suggested that I use the dehydrator with the beets to like kind of make beet chips. And I did, and it was pretty fun. I mean, they came out really good, actually. So this is inspiring me to, I'm asking my audience to try these recipes and these different ingredients, and so I'm living up to that as well. So
that's outstanding.
How about you? What's been your favorite recipe so far?
I definitely the beets. I love beets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Beets are something that I can eat every single week. I'm very happy to have beets. I don't know. Maybe they're connected to potatoes. I don't know, but I just love them.
Right. Yummy.
But definitely
they are yummy.
The beets.
So I include in the post as well is kind of how to prepare them. So, beets can be very messy and you can get like a lot of like red dye on your hands, etc. So, I explained different ways of handling some of the produce if there is a need for that. And the other thing that I add in the post as well is if there's any like medical issues that you need to be worried about, like with certain medicines, etc. Some of the fruits or vegetables might interact with some of the medicines and either increase the enzymes function in the body or decrease it. So I point that out as well.
And I really loved the one about garlic because I cook with a lot of garlic. So I was like, yes, I'm doing something really good for us because I cook with a lot.
Yeah. Garlic is awesome. It's interesting. I think garlic and I just heard something maybe on NPR just the other day on how onions are kind of like the skeleton or the framework for like every recipe. And I consider garlic as well one of those kind of essential ingredients. I love when my house smells of garlic.
I do too. I'm the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the other thing that you're doing, which I think is amazing, is you have a garden. Can you tell our listeners about your garden? I love seeing the pictures of your garden, by the way, on Instagram.
Oh, good. Thanks. Well, I would say, so I grew up in Miami, Florida, and we had avocado trees. And it's not because my mom planted them. I think they were on our property when we bought our house. So now fast forward many years, I live here in California, and I started on this, huge health and wellness kick. And I live in a very nice spot where there's a lot of sun, which is what you need to grow food. And I started growing some food. So I had somebody help me to build raised beds. And then there's two girls that are sisters in my community who are like master gardeners, and they've been helping me a lot. And so we seasonally change everything up. So right now, like in my garden, I have cauliflower, broccoli, kale. I have like 3 or 4 lemon trees. That might be kind of it right now that's really there, that's able to be harvested. But actually, I have to say, so I never grew up growing food, and I've started doing this maybe 5 years ago. I would say the most enjoyable, most rewarding experience is to actually not know really what you're going to eat today or, tonight, and go to the garden and pick what is in season and what is ready to be harvested, and then go and cook with it. and it couldn't taste. It tastes amazing because you're picking it at its freshest opportunity. It's amazing. So right now I have some cauliflower that I picked like a day or two ago, which I'll probably make for dinner tonight. So yeah, it's amazing to grow your own food. And if you don't have a lot of space, even if you live in an apartment or a small space, you could get a pot and even start growing some herbs. You can start small if you have a small space. So even just a little bit is fun.
I agree. I grew up on a farm, so we had a lot of these things, and I kind of let it go because I'm like, oh, that was so much work. But now I'm like, oh no, we need a garden. And my husband's done a great job. He keeps us in peppers. I have chilies all year round.
Oh, yummy.
Yeah. So we have lots of different
That's good for all
chilies.
your spicy Mexican stuff.
Yes, it
spicy
is.
Latino, Spanish
Yes.
stuff.
And in our new house, we have an avocado tree, which I go and I visit on a regular basis, and I talk to, and I check that none of the avocados are ready to harvest yet, but I go out there quite frequently to check on them because I'm so excited. So
we planted, I think maybe about five years ago, we planted 3 fruit trees. We planted a plum tree, a pluot, which is a plum apricot combined, and a peach tree. And last summer so what I've learned, so I learn a lot from these girls, these 2 sisters, the Putnam girls. So initially when you grow a lot of trees, essentially, I guess, is even if you have fruit that comes off the tree in the first few years of its existence, you want to actually pull that fruit before it gets to be ripe or big, because you want all the energy to go more into the root system of the trees. You don't want the energy to be in producing fruit. So you have to take the fruit off in the first few years. So last year was really the first year that we had fruit that we can actually eat, and it was amazing. And there was one day I went out to my garden, and I think it was a plum tree. They looked amazing. There must have been like 20 plums on the tree, but they were just a tiny bit hard, maybe like needed a day, 2, 3, or 4 more on the tree before I could pull them off to eat them. And I went back out there like a day or 2 later, and they were all gone because I think a squirrel or some animal came in and had a breakfast, lunch, and dinner on my plums, and it was such a bummer. And so what I learned from that experience is that I could actually pull the plums when they're still not ripe, when they're at that point, like when I was looking at them that one other time, and bring them into the kitchen, and they will ripen in the kitchen. So that's my plan this next summer because, oh, my God, I was so sad when I couldn't eat I ate some of the other produce from the other trees, but I could not eat the already eaten. And they didn't leave anything. They didn't even leave the seeds or anything. They must have just taken them and just gone with them. So that was a really sad thing.
Oh, no. So now I'm like, who can I ask about my avocados? When can I take them back down before they get eaten?
I don't know. I don't know if avocados, if the animals will take them, but you might want to look into that before you think that you're going to go tomorrow and pick them and eat them, and someone else may have already, indulged.
Yeah, they're getting really nice and big. So I'm like, oh no. Okay, I'm going to have to go and knock on some neighbors' doors and ask them what do you
it's worth looking into.
Definitely. Thank you for warning me. So we have talked a lot about how people could reach out to you, but I know that people start listening to us throughout the show. So can you just remind everybody again how they can follow you and learn more about the wonderful information that you're sharing?
Yes, of course. So I have many ways to reach me. So I have a website, and that's probably the easiest way to find everything. So my website is Soul, S-O-U-L, foodsalon.com, soulfoodsalon.com. And on that you can access all the links to everything else. But I have an Instagram account, I have a Facebook account, and I have YouTube set up, a YouTube channel, and everything is at Soul Food Salon, S-O-U-L, Food Salon. So please follow. Please share with me all your food adventures and health adventures, and you can ask me questions through my website. You can email me. My email link is also on my website. And again, on my website, basically everything that I've done so far in these last 5.5 years, with my events, with any writing that I've done, with the food challenge, all of that is up on my website. And the health links are there. There's also a cooking link, so like maybe 5 or 6 websites of people that I really respect, different chefs, etc., are there as well. So you can click on their stuff and see, go to their website and see different recipes, etc. So that's pretty much everything. Everything is pretty basic. Soul Food Salon. So follow me and sign up for the food challenge. Sign up to receive the Soulful Insights, which are the health and wellness posts that we send out a couple times a month. There's really good information, I think. I'm learning from all the information.
It's great information. And I have to say that your Instagram feed, your photos have gotten so good. Oh, my goodness.
I'm working it. I am working on it. I'm actually really enjoying it, but I have to say, I've been kind of watching different YouTube videos on food photography, and I'm learning that, to get your best photo, to try to take the photos outside. So we in California, in Northern California, we've had rain for like the last 3 months. So I haven't had a big window to get outside to take photos when it's not raining. But, I'm having fun with it, just playing around with my camera. I was originally using my iPhone, and then one of the YouTube video people talked about using the camera. So I'm like, well, I might as well take that out. And I think my photos are a little bit crisper and, just clearer and more enticing perhaps. So thank you for noticing. I appreciate it.
No, they really are. They look so professional and so well done. And I know that you're doing them. So I'm like, wow, Jeannie. That's amazing.
I'm trying. I think that kind of one thing that I'd like to share that maybe I talked about last time, and for those in the audience, I think one of the things I'd love to say is people's path in your career path, for example, is perhaps not going to be straight. You might not, and this alludes to a little bit of the post that Diana had written for me, which was called Unlock Your Someday Drawer. So I went to, I was an undergrad student, and I was a pre-med student, and then I went to medical school, and then I did my residency, and then I was an anesthesiologist, but I went for one more year of training in pediatric anesthesia, and then I worked at Stanford Hospital predominantly as a pediatric anesthesiologist. And my life was fairly structured. My day was structured. It was pretty clear. And I'm now, granted, I have an MD behind my name, which has given me tremendous credibility to do more than work in a hospital, and it's allowed me to learn and teach in a credible way. But I think that my message really is that everyone's path doesn't have to be totally straight. Like, my path was not straight. I've veered quite off my path, and I have let whatever's happening right now in my life with what I'm learning and teaching to just organically evolve. And it's been so fun because I think I've been pretty welcomed. I'm welcoming those options and that opportunity. So I welcome everybody here to pursue a passion or pursue an interest, because you don't know where that's going to go. Like, I had no idea that my interest in health and wellness and my interest in teaching in my son's then 5th grade science class would lead to this, but it has. So I encourage everybody to get in the kitchen and cook if that's something that you enjoy. Go in the garden and garden if that's something that you enjoy. Run a marathon if you like to run a mile, whatever. But kind of pursue what you're interested in. Like, so Diana, I don't know if she shared all of this with you, but she really wanted to write a book. She envisioned herself to be an author. And so she gave herself the time to spend the time writing a book. And she wrote a book, for many of you that probably know. But, she didn't know that that was what she was going to do. She was working full time, but she got up early in the morning and went and spent the time writing. And she has a book to show for it, and I think she grew tremendously from that experience. You grow from all of these experiences as well. So I hope everybody here will go ahead and pursue an interest or a passion that you perhaps have that might not be your 9-to-5 job, your daily grind, but something perhaps out of the box a little bit.
Thank you for sharing. That's so wonderful that you shared that, because you're absolutely right. I think our lives are so much richer when we do take chances and we do pursue the things that really interest us. And so thank you for giving us that advice and that wisdom.
And you never know who you might meet along the way. Like,
exactly.
I met Diana along the way. So you also might be more enriched in your life by people that you interact with and get to learn from and get to teach as well. So I encourage you and welcome you to do that.
And if I recall, did somebody help you do a vision board? Is that how you got clear on what you wanted to do?
So when I was still working, I connected with a friend of mine. I learned about a friend of mine from high school who was a life coach. And I don't know, I can't even remember the state of mind that I was in, but when I was working in the hospital as an anesthesiologist, it was stressful. It was a grind. My kids were young. And so perhaps I was thinking of something, perhaps pursuing something else, and I reached out to my friend Kathy, and she encouraged me to make a vision board, which is a really, really, really fun exercise. And so essentially what a vision board is you go to your grocery store or, the drugstore, and you buy a poster board. And then you go through a bunch of different magazines that you might have laying around, and you cut out whatever talks to you in the magazine. So Be Fit. For me, it was all about like teaching and cooking and eating healthy and living a healthy life. And so I cut all those things out, and I put them on a board. And this vision board, it's called a vision board, sits to the left of my computer still to this day. So it's probably 9 years ago that I created my first vision board. And it talks to me every day. I mean, I literally am at my computer or on my phone, and I look to the left of my computer, and I see it. And I'll notice something new on it. And it's seriously, everything in it is it's such potent information. And I don't know if I was really open to that before making the vision board. It really opened up my eyes to like, oh my God, this is what I really should be doing. And so perhaps in your path of trying to find your interest or your passion, maybe pursuing spending the time and making a vision board might be something to try for those out in the audience. And even if you're on your path, like I made another vision board, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago. It was kind of like a rainy weekend, and I had the poster board hanging out, and I just started playing around. So I have another vision board with a lot of the same kind of things on it, but it's just kind of fun to look at, and they inspire me and kind of reinforce that I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing right now.
That's really great advice. And I have to say, for as long as I've known you, it's really wonderful for me to see you evolve into this social media guru.
You've helped me. You take some credit there, darling.
You surpassed me. It's awesome. But it's really.
I have also an 11th grade daughter at home who's helping me with. Like, I just learned about Instagram stories. I didn't know what to do with them and how to do them, and so she has helped me a little bit with that. And believe me, she helps me, but she's also very firm on saying that is not what you do with it, Mom. You're doing it all wrong. So I have a little bit of help here at the house. I also have my 3 kids, and they're like, Mom, you're posting too much. I'm like, you know what? You're not my audience. So there's a little bit of that going around.
Yeah, but it is really remarkable to see where you've come, and I'm so excited to see where you're going. And I love where your heart is, because your heart is really here, I think, to help us learn and to grow. And so many of us need this information, especially with all the messages out there about, I think, the misleading information about health and wellness. And so it's just so great to have somebody that is so heart-centered, that is giving us such great advice. And is passionate about it. So thank you, Jeannie, for all that you're
Thank
doing
you.
for us.
Thank you.
I did want to ask.
I'm sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
So our next event that I just posted is April 12th, and it is actually a dear friend of mine who has a PhD in epidemiology. She is the Vice Dean of Education at Columbia University in New York, their School of Public Health. And her talk is why science is important for us to be healthy. And it's essentially the talk is going to essentially be kind of how to be a savvy consumer, how to look at headlines and how to look at studies and to know if it's a valid source, if it's a valid study. Should I now enact what the study is telling me? Should I be scared that I'm going to be getting this, or et cetera? So some of the breakdown of what she's going to talk about is that, like kind of how to navigate the media and how to navigate different studies so that you know that what you're looking at is a real valid source. So for those in the Bay Area, if you're interested in being on that, coming to that event, let me know, and I can send you the email so you can RSVP. Again, there's no form of payment. And for those not in the Bay Area, we will be videotaping that salon. So that's April 12th, and the video will be up on YouTube within a few weeks of the event.
I will definitely be watching that one because I think it's so challenging, and even for I think busy moms with young children, and you're running through the grocery store, and something, you'll see a commercial about it, or something will call out to you, and it'll be packaged in a way that you think it's healthy, but then if you flip it in the back and you start actually looking at the ingredients, oh my goodness! So it's great that you're doing that.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really, really great. I did want to ask, because I have to know, I think I know the answer to this, but do you ever cheat and have like a cookie?
Oh, please. I eat cookies and chocolate all the time, every day.
Do you really?
I do, but I don't eat like a whole bunch of them. Like we have some dark chocolate with peppermint in it in our freezer, so I will take a little snip off of that periodically throughout the day, definitely at night after dinner. I do bake a bit in my house, and my kids are so funny. Like if I make something, they're like, is this the healthy version? And, and I tend not to make real healthy baked goods because a baked good is a baked good. You got to have decadence in your life. But yes, I do. I have a weakness for sweets, actually. So I do indulge. I don't maybe eat the whole batch of brownies, but I might have a brownie. I think balance and moderation is really important, and I think I'm not a fan of fad diets. I am more a fan of, again, eating whole food, less processed food, and, maybe 80% of the time being, really pretty true to that, and maybe 20% of the time, you're going to go eat out. You don't know what they're putting in that food, or you're going to have the brownie, and that's okay. That's sustainable. That's a sustainable way to live your life. Otherwise, if you're on a real strict diet, you might need to be for weight loss or for a medical issue, then that is a different story. But if it's, kind of to be baseline in your life, it's to be sustainable. You don't want to restrict yourself, because restriction makes you want that brownie and the whole batch of brownies even more. At least that's what I find. So I kind of adhere to the 80-20 rule, 80%. Maybe I'm even, maybe there's some days that I'm better than 80%, and maybe some days I'm not, and that's okay. I kind of let it be, and if I'm traveling or something, maybe I'll be a little bit more decadent than usual. I do try to exercise most every day, however. So not that balances it, but that just is a different aspect for health.
Yeah, it's definitely very good. And I have the chocolate thing too. So I have an almond or two every night that's dark chocolate covered. It's my thing.
It's the best.
So, love
the best.
them.
I try to, like when our family sits down for dinner, I will cut up whatever seasonal fruit is in season at the time. So right now it's kind of like pineapple, whatever. So I'll cut up pineapple. So that will be our dessert. So it's not the batch of brownies, for example. I mean, I make the brownies every once in a while as like a special occasion. But generally it's fruit for dessert. But I will have that little piece of chocolate at the end of the night.
Okay, I feel better now about the one piece of chocolate that I
Now you can go have that piece of chocolate.
I can have every single day. So is there anything else that you wanted to share? You've given us so much to think about and so much good information.
Well, I think, you mentioned the inflammation at the beginning, one of the talks or one of the posts that I had put out, and we actually did a salon on inflammation, and then it was two physicians. One physician did more like a didactic talk with a presentation, and the other physician is a chef as well, and so she cooked in an anti-inflammatory way. She taught us how to make a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack. You can, again, go on my website. This was probably maybe 3 years ago at this point, but all the recipes and the presentation are there. But I think that the big thing about inflammation, as you alluded to, is, acute inflammation is important in our bodies. If you stub your toe, or if you step on a rusty nail, your body needs to expel that and fix it well and fix it quickly. That would be acute inflammation and your body's repair of that. However, chronic inflammation is something often we don't even know it's happening in our body, and it's kind of like an insidious badness that's happening, and it could be because we have stress in our life, because we're eating poorly, because we don't sleep well, because we have stress at work, because we're not exercising. We don't have mindfulness in our life. So you really want to try to prevent having chronic inflammation, because that can lead to long-term disease, chronic disease such as obesity, cancers, cardiovascular disease. It's just all bad, diabetes. So you really want to create a situation of more health and wellness baseline. So you want to have some mindfulness in your life, whether it's meditation or yoga, expressing gratitude. You want to have really good sleep if you can. You want to try to move your body every day if you can, some form of exercise. Park your car far away in the parking lot if you can't do true, running or whatnot. And then trying to eat nutritiously. And there's definitely certain things that are more anti-inflammatory and certain things that are more inflammatory. And you can go on my website. It's really the first couple of Soulful Insights that we wrote. All of the posts that we've written in Soulful Insights are on my website, and you could follow along some of the things that I'm mentioning right now. Concerning the diet, someone who I follow very strongly on the diet is Dr. Andrew Weil. He's out of the University of Arizona, and he has the anti-inflammatory diet with like a pyramid, and basically you look at the pyramid with eating more on the base and less at the top. So that's kind of how I would leave it. You should look at my site and take a look at some of the inflammation posts.
And as I mentioned before, I've shared that. It's such a great post, but I think all your information is so helpful. And I can't believe that we're out of time. This hour has flown by. It's been so amazing to talk to you. I miss you. And thank you. Yeah, and thank you for everything that you're doing for everyone. It is so inspiring. And I will continue to be following you on Instagram and checking out your YouTube channel. Hopefully I'll get to come to a salon sometime soon. And I'll be cheering for you all along the way, because you are definitely just doing amazing things, woman. So thank you.
So you have to have cheerleaders like Diana, guys, in your life. So this is my cheerleader. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So for our listeners, thank you for joining us tonight. Remember to add the most important ingredient to every recipe you make your love. And as my mama always said to me as we said our goodbyes, que Dios te bendiga. May God bless you. Many thanks to Agde, our fabulous producer. Soul to Soul with Nancy Newman is up next, so please stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in to Mole Mama Cooking with Love. Thank you for tuning in to Mole Mama. Remember to add love to every recipe you make. It is your secret ingredient. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and check out our YouTube channel and make those yummy recipes for your loved ones and connect and have fun and enjoy. Que Dios te bendiga. May God bless you.